Big Questions with the Dead Milkmen.
Hello, and welcome to Big Questions. This week's question is, have you ever invented an instrument? If so, what is it? If not, tell us about an instrument you would like to invent if you had the relevant know-how to make it. I don't have any visual aids or any sort of aids to show, but I had two, but the one I wanted to talk about was, and I don't have a name for it, but so basically you would have tubes that run up through like a shirt or something and up here, and it connects to little keyboards that you would have in your palm. So like the keys would face this way and you'd be able to do this. So the tubes run down and they go down your pants, and then they're connected to these like shoes that are like bellows kind of, like, and then when you step, it pumps the air through the tubes. And then when you're doing this, like you can play little notes, like they'd be different keys or, different notes. And then, so I don't know if it would work with walking, but you'd have to like press each shoe down like a bellows, and it pumps the air through, and then the air goes through just like it would for like a melodica, a hooter kind of idea. And the other one is based on the glass harmonica that Ben Franklin invented. This is where I got the idea. But so you would have, it's also something that runs along. You'd have a series of tape heads like on the tips of each finger. And then just like on the glass harmonica, which is like a bunch of like glass or glasses that are descending in shape, and you have water, So these would be like tape reels with different notes. So you would have the tape heads like on the ends of your finger, and you would press down on the different spinning tapes, and it would play the different notes. So you would have had to, pre-record the stuff that's on the tape.
So is it like a Melotron that you would play with your fingers?
Isn't that like
the keyboard?
Yeah. So there'd be reels with tape.
Yeah, that's what a Melotron is. That's reels of tape.
And then you take tape heads on your fingers and touch.
Oh, I see.
Oh, is that already a thing?
Yeah, the Melotron had. You don't touch them with your fingers, but yeah,
touch the tapes.
Oh, okay. I should have done some more research.
Or some. I think the other one, there was a company that made Midi shoes at one point. I'm not kidding, like synthesizer sneakers. I forget who made it. Yeah, that made a sound, and yeah.
Wow.
And I know Laurie Anderson had the tie that she used to play.
With the tape?
Yeah.
I just updated my Mellotron from GeForce software today. It's a software version.
So yeah, those were my ideas. I come up with them.
All right, are you done, Dan?
What? Yeah, yeah, I'm finished.
It's like Max Headroom.
Yeah, a lot like Channel 23. Yeah.
Should I go now?
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. No, I have not invented any instruments. I do, however, love samplers, and I have about 5 around me right now. So if I wanted to, it's easy. And here's one that's on my phone. It's called Koala, and I've sampled a pot that was in my drying rack in the kitchen. And I mean, you can do stuff like I was reminded of sampling Mexican radio that the drummer used pots and pans in his drum kit. Pretty cool. You can hear it in that song. I also wanted to mention Partch was an American composer born in 1901 and 1870, and he invented the tonal scale that contained 43 notes per octave. And then I can provide a bunch of links, and Dan has to be careful because it's a rep. Just Intonation is based on a bunch of instruments to support his compositions. And there's a bunch of videos that I found. I recommend Instrumentarium, which the caretaker of his actual instruments and plays them. It's pretty amazing. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about Harry Potter.
Are you sure that's all? Okay. Look at the bright side. Even with Dean glitching up, it still can't get fewer views than last week. All right. I have, because I invent things, I have, of course, invented and built instruments. I built an instrument about 12, maybe 13 years ago, maybe a little bit more, which was called the LC 5000. LC like LC the cow. And the idea was a VST, which for those of you who aren't into the whole computer music thing, that is a virtual studio technology. And it's a little thing. A lot of times when you're listening to a song, boy, that guitar sounds really good. That guitar isn't really a guitar. It's just a little thing that lives inside the computer, a little application. That's what this is. I actually built it with some free software called SynthMaker that came through it with a magazine called Computer Music. Now, here's the thing. Computer music back in the day used to have CDs attached to it. Yeah. And sometimes, so with all the software, sometimes the employees in the store would help themselves to the CDs, and they weren't in the magazine. But that for a while, FL Studio had the same software. It's called Flowstone, and that is, of course, not to be confused with the Bourne identity, but Treadstone. Are you Treadstone? Am I Treadstone? I'm hoping to get a part in the next Bourne film. Anyway, so quick thing about the LC 5000. It came with 32 presets. These were honoring past and present members of the band. So everybody got one except Dean got two because there was a kick drum and a snare drum that were clean snare and clean kick. It also had 4 tunable oscillators, and each oscillator gave you a choice of 5 waveforms, and all the oscillators have individual controls. So we'll put up pictures of all this. I had an LFO. It had 5 filter options, and it came with reverb. So I worked good and hard on this, and I really liked it because I thought could be like a Swiss Army knife. Sometimes when you go to work on something, it's better just to have one all-purpose kind of VST that you can go, okay, I'm going to use this from this and this from this. Now, I busted it out the other day, opened it up in my DAW, and lo and behold, it still works. I hadn't used it in a while, and I was pretty happy with it. Now, what I did was I have 2 videos that I made. One is about a 2-minute long video of just showing a bunch of the different sounds and samples of the sounds. And the other was I took the VST and using sounds from it, just a few of them, I created a song called Grizzly Manson, which brought together the 2 favorite things I like to talk about on this show, grizzly bear attacks and Charles Manson.
So that's not limited to this show, by the way.
No. That's me in regular life, just riding around in the van. Sometimes it's hard for me to get through the security check at the airport. And some people were sitting here watching, wait a minute, 2-minute videos. How is that possible in less than 6 months? I'm amazing, people. I guess you've all seen my famous cabinet of curiosities. If you haven't, it's time for a quick refresher course. Excuse me. That's my head there. Figures I would get this caught on this. Watch me unplug it and I'll be in the same spot Dean is. This works so smoothly in rehearsal. This is my famous cabinet of curiosities over here. I think you can see bits and pieces of it. No, I guess not, maybe. Oh, it's hard to find it. Anyway, now I'm having a Dean moment. Oh, no. But anyway, on the other side of this, there we go. Anyway, somewhere over here is my famous big cabinet of curiosities synth setup, which it is apparently too dark in here for you to see, or I'm just pointing the camera in the wrong direction. We are plagued with technical difficulties tonight. I don't know why anybody ever follows this band.
No, it's good. It keeps us curious.
Yep. Oh, okay. And that's why it's a cabinet. Anyway, everybody's seen it before. I've thrown pictures of it up on there before. It's the rack of all the synths and everything. Now, for the perfect instrument. I mentioned this in our hobbies. I should have put this up there by that. I mentioned this in our hobbies episode, but I don't really have time to play video games or anything like that anymore. I like to say my DAW, my digital audio workstation, is my video game. And I was enjoying a video game before I got super, super busy called Layers of Fear 2 that was narrated by Tony Todd. And it was in that binaural audio. So when you had headphones on, it was like Tony Todd. Tony Todd is the Candy Man, for those of you who aren't horror people. So what happens is you would hear Tony Todd in your ear, like, that doorway leads somewhere. That sort of, and Tony Todd is super spooky. So my ideal instrument, please, somebody make a DAW, a digital audio workstation that has Tony Todd as part of it. So it's like, like, hey, maybe you want to move that bass line up an octave or so. That would be my dream. It's super scary. Oh, let me go get my, hang on. The kitty's there. And that means it's time for Stick Figure Theater Kitty. Ooh, Stick Figure Theater Kitty. So I also invented stick figure theater. So put Tony Todd in a DAW, and that is tonight's show is falling apart. All right, Joe, can you pull us out of this?
I haven't created or built any instruments, so I haven't invented any, but I do have an idea. I have an idea for one. And it would be a tactile cylindrical instrument so it would be touch sensitive. It would be USB controlled or maybe Bluetooth. Yeah, Bluetooth. It would be Bluetooth enabled for sure. And you would get the notes from moving your fingers or whatever else you want to use on it. In the up and down vertical. Actually, and that you would
up
control
and down vertical. Okay.
I actually do have I don't know if you can see this. There's the controls at the base. This would be like maybe imagine a 7-inch circumference down here tapers to a 2-inch to 0-inch at the top. It has a taper. You would play. These would give you for more or less the chords or the modes that you get harmonized for the notes that you play up and down. The top would usually be the highest of the scale, and the bottom would be the lowest of the scales. And you could use if you interface it with your computer, for example, you could customize the scales for the modalities. So I guess the default.
Pour me some, Rodney.
So it would probably be made of some kind of metal, but encased in a latex, maybe a skin-like latex.
Sheepskin.
I don't know. That's the instrument I would invent if I could, if I had the technological know-how, which I don't.
Thank God.
Isn't there a Roxy music song like that?
It could also double as a Maricolade.
Joe really pulled us out of this one, didn't he?
Wow.
That's the instrument I have some ideas for what it could be called. It could be maybe the skin flute or the dictaphone. There's just a couple ideas for names.
That makes sense, because I once created a long tube for like frat boys and dude bro dudes to play, and it was called the didgeridoo. So But now I'm thinking about other things that could be done with that. It could be modified based on, hey, Dean, do you want to, since you've got a connection now, do you want to maybe redo your part? We can splice it in.
I'll just give you an audio. I'll just give you a read through of what I wrote down.
All right.
I have not invented any instruments. I do, however, love samplers, and I have about 5 of them around me in my studio right now. So if I wanted to make an instrument out of pretty much anything, it's pretty easy. I sampled a kitchen pot, and maybe you can hear that. I can send you a little video of that. Joe Nanini from the Wall of Voodoo used pots and pans in his drum kit for the song Mexican Radio. But I did want to talk about an inventor, a musical instrument inventor named Harry Partch. We can provide links, or I will provide links, but be aware that it's a rabbit hole. There's a lot of stuff out there, and it's pretty interesting. Be careful, Dan. He was an American composer born in 1901, and he died in 1974. He invented a tonal scale of 43 tones within an octave. And he was interested in what is called just intonation, which is based on mathematical ratios between the tones. And because he was interested in this, he had to build instruments to support his compositions using the scale system. And I have got a bunch of photos of some of his really cool instruments. And if you watch one of the videos that I linked to, I would recommend the one called the Harry Partch Instrumentarium, in which the caretaker of his instruments basically shows an audience in a theater what the instruments are, and he plays them and tells you about how they sound and how they work. So I would check those out.
He was an American composer raised on promises. Hey, Joe, you should have called your instrument the Harry Parks. That would be really good.
Recommendations.
Yes, please.
I recommend invent an instrument. You know, think about how many people have done that. We wouldn't have the instruments that we have if people hadn't invented them. It's easy. Just figure out how to make a sound and then, you know, make some music with it. Yeah.
I would like to recommend an album that is coming out very soon, in early July, I believe. It is called Purple Pie Plow. It's by a group, well, it's a pair of people called SLC and Watt. It's basically Sam Lockwood and Southern California legend bassist singer Mike Watt. And they've collaborated on a few things. And on this one in particular, they are joined by no other than Joe Jack on keys and myself on drums. Also, there's Bob Bucko Jr. on saxophone. It's got 24 tracks on it. This collaboration took place last year via the internet, and we all recorded our parts at home. And Sam would send lyrics and demo tracks to everyone, and we would record our parts, and Mike Watt added his bass, I think, towards the end, and did some vocals. The LP contains 24 tracks and includes 11 spiels voiced by Mike Watt, like between the songs. Imagine a fresh set of Rod McEwen tracks. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, we'll provide a link to the Bandcamp page, which you can hear a couple of tracks, and there's actually a video for one of the songs on it, and also a link to the pre-order page, which is, this album comes out on the label called Kill Rock Stars. So check it out.
What's the name of the guy on bass?
What?
Oh, so clever. So speaking of using one VST to do a whole bunch of stuff, over on my channel is a cover of Kraftwerk's The Robot, which I made using just the presets on one VST. It's the Arturia Mini V. I'm not a fan of the Moog Model D, although the rest of the world seems to be. But I actually love their VST. So what I did was I went and did a cover of that using that and some vocoder or stuff, but it was all done in the box. Every week, every couple of weeks, I give myself every week a little experiment to do, a little challenge, and that was the result of this one. So I'm pretty happy with it. I mentioned tearing apart my Dalek the other week to do that. All right, going to recommend a movie. The movie is called Beau is Afraid, and it is fantastic. Set aside 3 hours to watch it, people, but it's really, really good. Ari Aster, who did Hereditary, and he also did Midsummer, the film that everybody gets wrong. He did that, and this film has Bill Hader's greatest role in it. Bill Hader appears in this movie, and it's really, really super amazing. I'm very pleased with it. Ben and I, we had a choice of, you couldn't rent it yet because it's in theaters. You buy it, and we're very glad we bought it. I'm a big Ari Aster fan, and this film is horror, comedy, drama. It's got everything. So I really, really liked it. Whenever you see a review and it's all 10s, this is the best thing ever, or 1s, this is the worst thing ever. You want to see that movie? That's the way I am. So yeah, there are no 5 reviews, all 10s and 1s. And then finally, I'm going to recommend a TV show for you. I can't remember what it was on. You'll have to dig it out. I think it's now available on that freebie thing or whatever. I think I saw it on maybe Peacock or something. But it's called Jury Duty. Imagine if you were on a sitcom, but you didn't know you were on a sitcom. Imagine if, like, you were on Seinfeld, but you thought these people were real. They were your neighbors, and you didn't know you were being filmed from, like, Kramer's apartment, or maybe not Kramer. He's problems with him. But imagine if all of a sudden you found, you basically somebody had set up the thing where you thought you were living your life, and it turned out you were just part of something bigger. Well, that's what this is. There's a guy who shows up for jury duty, and they basically tell him, hey, we're making a documentary. We cleared it with all these people. We're filming this. And it's a fantastic. Fortunately, they picked the nicest guy on earth. And if you're watching this and you're like, well, how did he not catch on? It is all explained, and they went through a lot. But the look on this guy's face when everything is revealed, the second episode holds the cruelest thing I've ever seen done to anybody on TV. And that includes episodes of the old show Scare Tactics, where they have somebody chase you with a hatchet. James Marsden, the actor, is in it, and he's playing the worst possible version of James Marsden. He basically, like, he's telling everybody, like, I'm famous. I shouldn't have to do jury duty. I'll be a distraction. And the judge, who is also an actor, is like, who are you? It's James Marsden. He's asking the guy who isn't an actor, the guy who, this is all being sort of done too. It's like, what was he in? He goes, he was in the X-Men and the Notebook. And later on, James Marsden takes him out into the hallway and goes, don't lead with the X-Men because everybody thinks of you, Jackman. It is absolutely amazing. Watch the whole thing. Your mind will be blown at the end of it. So yeah, again, really pleased with that. Really pleased with Beau is Afraid. I don't know how pleased I am with my cover of the robots. That's for you people to judge.
I'd like to recommend the latest album by The Selector, that ska band that released the classic Too Much Pressure back in 1980 on the Two-Tone label. And it's called Human Algebra. I actually didn't know that this band was still together. And in fact, they did break up and they got back together for some reunions. But I stumbled upon a review of this album that came out earlier this year, so I checked it out, and I actually think it's really good. And it turns out the only member, Pauline Black, is the only Selector that is still in the current lineup, but so she's pretty much it, I guess. But she's a great voice and a really good songwriter, and I recommend it. It's called Human Algebra.
That was weird because the other day my grandson, Walter Jr., ran up to me and was like, he goes, Grandpa, your generation had bands like Selector and Social Distortion, but my generation has bands like Grizzly Bear. And then he cried. He's still crying as far as I know.
I think I'm going to have to pick it up.
Pick it up. All right. Are we all good?
Yeah.
They're coming to Philly this weekend. I hope we give them a warm welcome.
Bye, guys.
So long.
Bye.
doors and hold your children tight, 'cause Grizzly Manson's on the prowl tonight. He's got a beard, he's got long hair, he's got a taste for killing, and a grizzly bear. Now Grizzly Manson, he roamed the woods outside a little town called Hollywood. When he'd get bored, he'd go online, which was a difficult thing in 1969. That's where he met a bear named Ben, and Squeaky, and Gypsy, and Tex Watson, and Sadie, and Bobby, and also Clem, and little Linda Kasabian. Lock your doors and hold your children tight, 'cause Grizzly Manson's on the prowl tonight. He's got a beard, he's got long hair, he's got a taste for killing, and a grizzly bear. Charlie and Ben went for a ride and found themselves cruising up Cielo Drive. They spotted a mansion, they snuck inside, but Terry Melcher they did not find. Then stepping from the shadows, they did see a man by the name of J.C. Bring, who coiffed and cut and styled their hair. And that's who tamed that man and that bear. Lock your doors and hold your children tight, 'cause Grizzly Manson's on the prowl tonight. He's got a beard, he's got long hair, he's got a taste for killing, and a grizzly bear. Lock your doors and hold your children tight.